Jill Duggar, known for her role in the beloved reality TV show 19 Kids and Counting, recently had the joy of reuniting with two of the most important women in her life, her mother, Michelle Duggar, and her sister Jessa Sewald. The special occasion was a birthday celebration that brought together 3 generations of strong, faith-driven women who have always shared a deep bond. Despite their busy lives and growing families, they made time to come together for a cherished moment filled with laughter, love, and meaningful conversations. The reunion took place at a cozy yet elegant venue where family traditions were honored and new memories were created. Jill, who has been focused on raising her own children with her husband Derek Dillard, expressed how meaningful it was to spend quality time with her mom and sister away from the distractions of daily life. For Michelle, seeing her daughter and granddaughter enjoying each other's company was a source of immense joy. Jessa, who has also embraced motherhood, was thrilled to reconnect with her sister and mom, sharing stories about their respective journeys into parenthood. This gathering was more than just a birthday party, it was a heartfelt reminder of the strength found in family ties. From the moment the women arrived, the atmosphere was filled with warmth and familiarity. The venue, decorated with soft pastel tones and delicate floral arrangements, reflected the gentle elegance that defines the Duggar family gatherings. As they settled in, the group was immediately drawn into lighthearted conversation, reminiscing about past birthdays and childhood memories. Laughter flowed effortlessly as they recalled favorite moments from their years on 19 Kids and Counting, including playful sibling antics and the many ways Michelle kept order in their large household. Jill, always appreciative of these rare moments of togetherness, marveled at how quickly time had passed since those early days of filming. She and Jessa exchanged stories about their own parenting experiences, comparing notes on toddler milestones and the joys and occasional challenges of raising young children. Michelle listened with pride, offering wisdom drawn from her own journey as a mother of 19. Their conversation was interspersed with tender embraces and knowing smiles, reinforcing the deep connection they all share. Even without cameras capturing the scene, the love and unity among them were unmistakable, making this reunion feel like a true gift. As the evening unfolded, the conversations between Jill, Michelle, and Jessa turned deeper, touching on the values that have shaped their lives and guided their decisions. Faith remained a central theme, with each woman reflecting on how their spiritual beliefs continue to influence their approach to motherhood and family life. Jill spoke openly about the importance of instilling biblical principles in her son, Isaiah, and how she and Derek strive to create a home rooted in love, discipline, and service. Michelle nodded in agreement, recalling how she and Jim Bob raised their children with the same foundation, emphasizing prayer, scripture, and selflessness. Jessa, now navigating the early stages of parenthood with her husband Ben Sewald, eagerly sought advice from both her mother and sister. She discussed the challenges of balancing personal aspirations with the demands of raising a young child. Expressing gratitude for the wisdom passed down through generations, Michelle reassured her, reminding her that every season of life brings its own unique blessings, and that trusting in God's plan eases the burdens of uncertainty. Jill added her perspective, highlighting the beauty of intentional parenting and the small but significant moments that shape a child's character. Beyond discussions of faith and parenting, the trio also touched on the evolving nature of their relationships over the years. They acknowledged how their roles have shifted from Michelle being the guiding matriarch to Jill and Jessa stepping into their own identities as wives and mothers. Yet, despite these changes, their bond remained unshaken, strengthened by shared experiences and an unwavering commitment to supporting one another. Amidst the heartfelt conversations and shared wisdom, the evening was also filled with lighthearted fun and spontaneous laughter. The group delighted in playing simple games reminiscent of their childhood, reliving the joy of carefree family nights spent together. Whether it was a round of charades or a nostalgic game of cards, The air was thick with amusement as they teased each other and cheered on their wins. These moments, though seemingly small, carried a profound sense of nostalgia, transporting them back to the days when their home was filled with the sounds of siblings chasing each other through the halls and parents orchestrating the chaos with grace. One particularly memorable moment came when Michelle surprised her daughters with a beautifully crafted scrapbook chronicling their childhoods. Flipping through the pages, Jill and Jessa were overcome with emotion as they saw candid photos of themselves growing up, school recitals, family vacations, and even behind-the-scenes glimpses from their time on 19 Kids and Counting. Each picture told a story, evoking waves of laughter and reflection as they recalled the events captured in the worn pages. Tears welled in their eyes as they realized just how much time had passed, yet how deeply those memories remained etched in their hearts. The highlight of the night, however, was the birthday cake, a towering confection adorned with delicate pastel flowers and personalized messages. As they gathered around the table, candles flickered in the dim lighting, casting a warm glow over their faces. With a chorus of joyful voices singing happy birthday, the room felt like a sanctuary of love and gratitude. Cutting the cake together, they laughed about the messiness of frosting-covered fingers and the inevitable smudges on Michelle's dress, turning what could have been a simple dessert into a moment of pure, unfiltered joy. It was in these small, imperfect moments that the true essence of family shone brightest. As the evening drew to a close, the significance of this reunion became even more apparent. For Jill, spending time with her mother and sister was not just about celebrating a birthday, it was about strengthening the foundation that has always supported her. In a world where life moves at an ever-accelerating pace, these moments of connection serve as anchors, grounding her in the values and relationships that have shaped her identity. The wisdom shared by Michelle and the camaraderie with Jessa reminded Jill of the enduring strength found in family, especially during times of transition and growth. Michelle, too, found immense fulfillment in witnessing her daughters navigate motherhood with the same dedication she once embraced. Seeing Jill and Jessa embrace their roles as parents reaffirmed the lessons she had instilled in them throughout the years. More than anything, she cherished the opportunity to be present in their lives, not just as a mother, but as a confidant and lifelong friend. Meanwhile, Jessa left the evening feeling encouraged and empowered, grateful for the guidance of both her mother and sister as she continues to find her footing in parenthood. This gathering was more than a simple celebration. It was a testament to the power of generational bonds. Through laughter, shared stories, and heartfelt conversations, Jill, Michelle, and Jessa reinforced the deep love that connects them. No matter how much time passes or how many miles separate them, their bond remains unshaken, proving that family is not only a source of comfort, but also a wellspring of strength. Jessa Duggar, once a well-known figure from the reality TV show 19 Kids and Counting, faced significant legal consequences following his arrest in 2019 for possession of child pornography. His fall from public prominence culminated in a conviction that led to a prison sentence, marking a dramatic shift in his life. The charges stemmed from an investigation into his online activity, where authorities discovered illicit material on his devices. After pleading guilty in December 2021, he was sentenced to 12 years and 7 months in federal prison, with a projected release date set for 2032. This conviction not only stripped him of his former status, but also subjected him to strict post-release conditions. Duggar has since pursued legal avenues to challenge his conviction, filing an appeal that centers on claims of judicial misconduct and alleged errors during his trial proceedings. His legal team argues that the court failed to properly address certain aspects of his case, potentially undermining the fairness of the trial. However, overturning a federal conviction is a complex process, requiring substantial evidence that procedural mistakes significantly impacted the outcome. While appeals can result in reduced sentences or even overturned convictions in some cases, success is far from guaranteed, especially when dealing with federal charges as serious as child pornography possession. Beyond the legal battle, Duggar's time in prison has been marked by efforts to maintain communication with his family and navigate the challenges of incarceration. As he serves his sentence, his case continues to draw public attention, particularly due to his prior celebrity status. His ongoing legal fight remains a focal point, raising questions about the effectiveness of his defense strategy and the likelihood of a successful appeal. Since entering the federal correctional institution at Seagoville, Texas, Josh Duggar has had to adapt to the structured and often unforgiving environment of federal prison. Like all inmates, he follows a rigid daily routine dictated by institutional rules, which includes early morning wake-ups, scheduled meals, work assignments, and limited recreational time. Prison life demands strict adherence to protocol, and failure to comply can lead to disciplinary actions. Given the nature of Duggar's offense, he is likely housed separately from the general population to ensure safety and prevent potential conflicts. Federal prisons often implement protective custody or specialized units for inmates convicted of bad offenses, shielding them from threats while also subjecting them to additional scrutiny. Adjusting to this new reality has undoubtedly been difficult for Duggar, who previously lived under the public eye as part of a high-profile family. The transition from a life of relative comfort and media exposure to one governed by strict regulations and minimal personal freedoms presents a stark contrast. Inmates in federal prison are typically required to participate in rehabilitative programs, such as educational courses, vocational training, or counseling sessions aimed at addressing criminal behavior. Given the nature of his crime, Duggar may be mandated to attend bad offender treatment programs, which focus on accountability, behavioral modification, and understanding the impact of their actions. These programs, while designed to assist in rehabilitation, can also be emotionally taxing, forcing participants to confront past decisions in a controlled setting. Beyond institutional requirements, Duggar must also navigate the social dynamics of prison life. Maintaining a low profile is often advisable for high-profile inmates, as recognition can attract unwanted attention from both fellow prisoners and staff. Some incarcerated individuals view those with public notoriety as either curiosities or targets, depending on their own perspectives. To avoid conflict, Duggar may choose to limit interactions and focus on fulfilling his sentence without drawing unnecessary attention. Additionally, maintaining communication with his family has been crucial to his emotional well-being. Federal inmates are permitted limited phone calls, emails, and visits, though these privileges are subject to monitoring and restrictions. Staying connected with loved ones provides a vital lifeline, helping inmates cope with the psychological strain of long-term incarceration. Despite the challenges, Duggar's experience in prison reflects the broader realities faced by many federal inmates: structured routines, mandatory participation in rehabilitative programs, and the necessity of adapting to a confined, regulated existence. Whether his time behind bars will lead to meaningful change remains uncertain, but for now, he continues to serve his sentence while awaiting the outcome of his legal appeal. For Josh Duggar, the social landscape of prison presents a unique set of challenges, largely shaped by the stigma associated with his offense. Convictions related to child pornography often carry profound societal judgment, and within the prison system, this stigma can translate into isolation and vulnerability. Unlike other inmates who may find camaraderie through shared experiences or common backgrounds, Duggar's crime places him in a category viewed with disdain even among those serving time for violent offenses. The prison hierarchy, informal yet potent, frequently marginalizes bad offenders, leaving them exposed to hostility from both guards and fellow inmates. This dynamic likely contributes to Duggar's need to remain discreet and avoid drawing attention to himself, further intensifying his sense of isolation. The psychological toll of this alienation cannot be overstated. For someone accustomed to being part of a large, tightly knit family and living under the public gaze, the abrupt shift to a solitary existence can be jarring. Duggar's inability to form meaningful connections within the prison community exacerbates feelings of loneliness and despair, which are already heightened in the restrictive confines of incarceration. Additionally, the constant awareness of others' perceptions, knowing that his crime elicits revulsion, may weigh heavily on his mental health. Studies have shown that prolonged isolation and stigmatization can lead to anxiety, depression, and even suicidal tendencies among inmates, making it critical for Duggar to find ways to cope with these pressures. To mitigate the risks posed by his social environment, prison officials may have placed Duggar in protective custody or a segregated unit specifically for bad offenders. While this arrangement ensures his physical safety, it also reinforces his separation from the broader prison population, limiting opportunities for interaction and fostering a sense of exclusion. Even within these protective measures, the psychological burden of being constantly labeled as a pariah persists. Navigating this intricate web of stigma, isolation, and survival strategies is an ongoing struggle for Duggar, shaping his daily life in ways that extend far beyond the physical confines of his cell. The emotional and psychological toll of imprisonment is profound, and for Josh Duggar, the weight of his conviction compounds the already challenging realities of prison life. Separation from his family, the loss of personal freedom, and the stigma attached to his crime contribute to a deep sense of isolation and introspection. Formerly a public figure whose identity was closely tied to his family and faith-based upbringing, Duggar now faces a stark transformation, one that forces him to reckon with his past actions in an environment devoid of the support systems he once relied upon. The absence of his wife, Anna Duggar, and their children creates an emotional void, one that prison visitations and monitored communications can only partially fill. Limited contact with loved ones, coupled with the knowledge that his presence outside prison walls is indefinitely suspended, likely intensifies feelings of regret, frustration, and longing. Beyond familial separation, the psychological effects of confinement manifest in various ways. The monotony of daily prison routines, combined with the ever-present scrutiny from both staff and fellow inmates, fosters a sense of helplessness and diminished self-worth. The structured nature of incarceration leaves little room for personal agency, reinforcing a feeling of powerlessness that can erode an individual's mental resilience over time. Additionally, the pervasive stigma surrounding his offense amplifies internal struggles, leading to heightened anxiety and self-consciousness. The knowledge that society views his crime with particular severity, often met with moral outrage and condemnation, can fuel a cycle of shame and self-doubt, making it difficult to envision a future beyond prison walls. In response to these psychological burdens, some inmates develop coping mechanisms to manage stress and maintain emotional stability. Engaging in religious practices, if permitted, may offer solace to Duggar, given his deeply ingrained Christian background. Prayer, meditation, and reflection could provide moments of respite from the harsh realities of incarceration. Similarly, reading, writing letters, or participating in rehabilitative programs might serve as constructive outlets, allowing him to redirect his thoughts toward personal growth and redemption. Nevertheless, the persistent weight of his circumstances remains, shaping his emotional state in ways that extend far beyond the physical constraints of prison life. Despite the physical barriers of imprisonment, Josh Duggar has made concerted efforts to stay connected with his wife, Anna, and their 5 children. Communication within the federal prison system is highly regulated, with strict limitations on phone calls, visits, and written correspondence. Inmates are typically allowed scheduled phone calls, though these conversations are often brief and subject to monitoring. Email services, such as TrueLink, a government-provided messaging platform, are also available, but messages must be sent through approved third-party providers, sometimes at a financial cost to the recipient. Letters remain one of the most accessible forms of communication, though they too are subject to screening for security concerns. Maintaining regular contact with his family is crucial for Duggar's emotional well-being, offering a sense of normalcy and continuity in a life otherwise defined by confinement. His wife, Anna, has remained publicly supportive despite the immense challenges their family faces. She has continued to raise their children independently while managing the financial and logistical difficulties of having a spouse behind bars. Visits, when permitted, serve as a rare opportunity for direct interaction, allowing them to see each other in person rather than relying solely on letters and monitored calls. However, visiting hours are limited, and travel to Seagoville, Texas, where Duggar is currently incarcerated, requires significant effort, especially considering the family's residence in Arkansas. Beyond the logistical hurdles, the emotional strain of separation weighs heavily on both Duggar and his family. The knowledge that his children are growing up in his absence adds another layer of complexity to his experience. He is unable to participate in everyday moments, school events, birthdays, and milestones that define parenthood. Despite these hardships, Duggar continues to seek connection through whatever means available, relying on written words, occasional voices over the phone, and infrequent visits to bridge the distance between himself and his loved ones. As Josh Duggar continues to serve his sentence, his legal appeal remains a pivotal factor in determining his future. The outcome of his challenge to his conviction could either uphold the current ruling or potentially reduce his sentence, offering him a path toward eventual release. However, given the gravity of his crime and the stringent nature of federal sentencing laws, a successful appeal appears unlikely without compelling new evidence or a demonstrated legal error that significantly affected the trial's outcome. If the appeal fails, Duggar will face the full extent of his sentence, with release expected no earlier than 2032. Upon release, he will be subject to strict post-incarceration conditions, including bad offender registration, electronic monitoring, and potential lifelong supervision. Reintegrating into society will present formidable challenges, as employment opportunities, housing, and personal relationships may all be impacted by his criminal record. Beyond legal ramifications, Duggar's time in prison will continue to shape his personal and emotional well-being. The isolation, stigma, and psychological strain of incarceration will persist, requiring sustained efforts to maintain his mental health and connection with his family. How he navigates this period will influence his ability to rebuild his life after prison. Ultimately, while legal battles and institutional challenges define his present, the long-term consequences of his actions will extend far beyond his sentence, shaping the trajectory of his future.